Welcome. So the thing I want to talk about is you are and have been involved with Streetwise for a while, and sort of I don't know, maybe even to get a little political, in a time when people are thinking about what their contribution to the world and society is. You've made an interesting impact, and I would say I know very little about the homelessness facts and kind of what's going on behind the scenes, and don't know much about Streetwise. So wanted to get your take on, maybe on what is Streetwise, how'd you get involved, and then what that maybe are myths that we should know about relative to the cause of supports.
Oh yeah, wonderful. So depending on how you look at the data, there's somewhere around 10,000 homeless in and around Chicagoland. More if you include those in jeopardy of becoming homeless. There's many ways in which the homeless are supported, but from my perspective, there's not a whole lot that are able to provide a hand up as opposed to a hand out. And so that's what Streetwise is about. That's what got me interested. That's what got me, in today's, divided political climate, this should speak to both sides of the aisle loudly. And that is every Streetwise vendor purchases the magazine from Streetwise. In fact, in a lot of ways, Streetwise is one of Chicago's original social enterprises. So people show up at Streetwise, they purchase magazines. If they can't purchase, we obviously supply. Then they go out and they sell those magazines on the streets at a profit. And typically relationships are formed, which is wonderful.
And they make about $1. It's like they buy them for 90 cents and sell them for $2 or something like that. Is that right?
That's exactly right. They buy them for 90 cents and then they sell them on the street for $2. And of course, there's typically tips on top of that.
And so you kind of mentioned that's what drew you to it originally. How did you find your way in? And now are you chairman of the board now? So how did you go from A to B?
Yeah. So I knew about Streetwise from involvement in another philanthropy. And then I ended up in grad school. When I got done with grad school, I found myself some extra time on my hands. And I thought, I want to give back. I want to do something. I want to get involved. Found out they were bringing people onto the board, came onto the board, found out that they needed a new website as quickly as possible. My company builds websites. So we spun up a website. I was quickly identified as someone who, is pretty going to be active on the board. They asked to join the executive board. This was maybe 2 years ago. And then I eventually took over as chairman of the board. So this is my second year as chairman of the board of Streetwise.
Cool. So this seems like one of those topics I find myself talking about at a cocktail party over the dinner table at Thanksgiving. What do you know about homelessness that are maybe myths that could or should be dispelled that you find you run into a lot?
No one wants to be homeless. Many are homeless, and the stories as to why they became homeless are shocking and surprising. Many are not very different from you and me. Lots of twists and turns, definitely a lot of some mental issues, bad breaks, but no one wants to be homeless. They would all prefer a place to sleep, a safe place to sleep. But at the same time, I would say also most of the homeless population, they're not necessarily looking to become the next millionaire. They're not looking necessarily for the American dream, as it were. They want to be safe. They want to be happy. But they also, many are happy to be on their own and independent.
You got me interested. What's a story of someone like you or me who had a bad break or something that you know about that you could tell?
Yep. So many of the vendors have a sort of a similar story in that they were essentially living paycheck to paycheck for a period of time. And then there's some unique circumstances without savings behind it, put them in a very bad position. We've seen this in the movie several times, but it's the real life for a lot of Chicago's homeless. End up at a shelter for a little while, and then it's time to fight scratching their way out of the shelter. But there's some have families that that are trying to support them for a while. Suddenly the families can't support them. And so it's Streetwise's job to find them in those moments and provide them a means to get off the streets and perhaps onto more.
Now, what about the mental illness aspect? So, is it a percentage of the population, or what about that? Should people know about?
Yeah, there's degrees. It's all a matter of degrees, and what percentage is certainly difficult. We bring in a lot of social workers. A lot of social workers work with a lot of our vendors, and it's hard to know. And there's more than just mental illness. There's depression. There's anxiety. There's just a lot of issues, and all of which can and should be dealt with.
Obviously it's a political season. What are the most sensible things that people can do with this issue? I know I saw some donate on the Streetwise site, but like in your experience, what are things people can do?
Yeah, to help the Streetwise or the homeless population in general. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Winter is coming, and so all donations for warm clothes are welcome and appreciated. Our offices are down on the south side on State Street near Cermak. Beautiful new facilities. If you have warm clothes, we want them. I would say that it's wonderful that you purchase a magazine. Please do. You can actually purchase that magazine as a recurring investment. You don't have to find that vendor each time and give them the $2 each time. Tips are welcome. If you want to do more, if you want to get more involved, you can get more involved for an individual vendor at Streetwise. All you have to do is contact Streetwise, talk to Julie Youngquist, our executive director, and she will help you understand all the different ways in which you can support these individuals who are literally choosing to not just shake a cup. They're literally choosing to work. So they show up at the office and buy those magazines. It's remarkable, and we should do whatever you can do to help them is appreciated.
And also it sounds like there's some changes happening at Streetwise. What's the future look like?
Yeah, so we had a lot of big news in February 2020, but then March 2020 happened, and all the big news sort of faded to the background. We merged with the YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago. The YWCA of Metropolitan Chicago is an amazing organization. They are separate from national. They're separate from the YMCA. These individuals are looking to increase their reach into the homeless population, and through some wonderful conversations that happened between some of the leadership at Streetwise and YWCA, we found a home, and they've been able to support us through the pandemic, which is amazing. And they remain just a wonderful organization. If you have the time, check out the YWCA in Metropolitan Chicago.
That's really great. Hey, listen, so thanks for giving me the scoop on Streetwise and the homeless situation in Chicago. This is great. I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Hey there. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to hear more content just like that.